The cost of control. The water hit the laptop with a soft splash, like someone rinsing a countertop, but this was no accident. It was a deliberate act, cold and calculated, aimed at my daughter Emma's lifeline, her voice, her art, her connection to the world. I saw the sparks before I heard the gasps, tiny flickers dancing across the keyboard as the screen flickered and died. Emma, my 13-year-old with autism, sat frozen, her hands trembling, her eyes locked on the ruined device. Above her stood Mrs. Evelyn Harper, arms crossed, her face smug with righteous conviction. "She shouldn't be glued to that thing," she declared, loud enough for the crowd at the Oak Ridge Meadows community picnic to hear. "Kids need real life, not screens." I pushed through the stunned onlookers, my heart pounding, fists clenched, but it was too late. The acrid smell of burnt circuits hung in the air. Emma looked up at me, her wide eyes brimming with confusion and fear, like a deer caught in headlights. For a moment, no one spoke, not the parents, not the kids, just a heavy silence that screamed of shame and complicity. This wasn't a mistake. It was a grown woman destroying my disabled daughter's world and calling it justice. What kind of person does that? What kind of community lets her? 8 months earlier, we had moved to Oak Ridge Meadows, a quiet, gated suburb in suburban Ohio, hoping its manicured lawns and friendly block parties would offer Emma the safety she deserved. The real estate agent had sold us on community spirit and family values, and for a while, I believed it. Emma, diagnosed with autism at age 4 and nonverbal since 5, communicated differently. Her laptop was her voice-speech software to talk, digital art apps to express her vivid imagination, and bookmark lessons to learn at her own pace. She wasn't out playing tag or riding bikes, but in her world of swirling colors and pixelated forests, she thrived. Our days had a comforting rhythm. Mornings started with Emma tapping her tablet to show me a digital thumbs up, her way of saying good morning. I'd brew coffee while she logged into her virtual classes, her noise-canceling headphones snug, her focus unbreakable. During breaks, she'd sketch fantastical landscapes, mountains, rivers, creatures with soulful eyes. Her therapist once said Emma's art revealed an emotional depth most people could only dream of. I felt it every time I saw her work, like she was letting me into her heart. Emma found a friend in Noah, a lanky 14-year-old with a passion for comic books and coding. They met when he spotted her drawing at the community park and asked about her software. She tilted her screen to show him, and that was enough. They bonded over Minecraft, swapped Pokemon cards, and even built a cardboard spaceship in our garage. Noah never treated her like she was different, met her where she was, and I was grateful. The neighbors seemed warm at first. There were smiles, a few welcome baskets, and chats about school districts. Most adored Emma, calling her so creative or such a sweetheart. But Mrs. Harper, a retired principal and head of the Oak Ridge Homeowners Association's Family Wellness Committee, was different. From the start, her gaze lingered on Emma, not with kindness but with old scrutiny, as if Emma's existence was a puzzle she needed to fix. Her first comment came at a neighborhood cleanup. "That girl's always on her computer," she said, nodding toward Emma, who was sketching a sunset on her tablet. "Don't you think kids need more real-world interaction?" I smiled politely. "She's connecting in her way." Mrs. Harper's lips pursed. "In my day, we didn't need screens to feel alive." I brushed it off as old-fashioned grumbling, but her remarks grew sharper. "Screens make kids distant. That light damages their eyes. What does she even do on that thing?" She never used Emma's name, just "that girl" or "your daughter," her tone dripping with judgment masked as concern. I tried to be patient. I invited Mrs. Harper to an art show Emma set up on our porch, her drawings pinned up with little typed captions. Mrs. Harper glanced at them and muttered, "At least it's not social media." I laughed it off, but unease settled in. Her comments weren't idle, they were the seeds of something darker. Then came the note, taped to our mailbox one crisp Tuesday. Printed in crisp font, it read, "Concern, children using devices in public spaces. For the health of our youth, we urge families to prioritize nature and peers over screens. Fresh air builds stronger minds than Wi-Fi." Signed, Mrs. Evelyn Harper, Family Wellness Committee. It didn't name Emma, but it didn't need to. No other kid in Oak Ridge used a laptop at the park or a tablet by the clubhouse fountain. I emailed the HOA, explaining that Emma's laptop was an assistive device, not a toy. The reply came from Mrs. Harper herself. We're all trying to raise balanced children, Susan, but excessive screen time leads to isolation. I'm just helping before it gets worse. Worse? Emma was thriving gacing her classes, laughing with Noah, even braving small talk with neighbors. But to Mrs. Harper, none of that mattered. Her help felt like sabotage. She started hovering at the park, watching Emma with narrowed eyes. Once, when Emma dropped her stylus, Mrs. Harper snapped, "This is public property, not a tech lab." Another time, she lectured Noah by the mailboxes. "You're a bright boy. Don't get sucked into that screen nonsense, especially with girls like her." Noah told me later, confused and upset. Why does she think Emma's wrong for being herself? The microaggressions escalated to formal complaints. An HOA email cited concerns about a child using devices in common areas for extended periods. I replied with a detailed explanation of Emma's needs. No response. Then Emma came home shaken, typing. She said I'm rude. She said screens are bad. That night, another note appeared on our door. A good parent knows when to say no to technology. For her sake, try it. No signature, but I recognized Mrs. Harper's neat, looping handwriting. I started documenting every emails, notes, photos of her watching Emma. Neighbors shared their own stories. One mom said Mrs. Harper scolded her son for listening to audiobooks during a walk, calling it unnatural. A dad recalled her shaming his daughter for taking selfies by the clubhouse, labeling her vain. No one had challenged her. She hid behind community standards and her HOA title. I sensed something bigger was coming, and I was right. The incident happened at the Oak Ridge Spring Craft Fair, a sunny Saturday event billed as a screen-free celebration of creativity. I knew Mrs. Harper had written the flyer, but I didn't want Emma to miss out. She was excited to finish a digital art project for Skoll, a time-lapse of a blooming garden. She set up at a shaded picnic table, her laptop and stylus arranged carefully, her favorite green hoodie dotted with tiny embroidered flowers. I stayed close, helping with the snack table but keeping her in sight. Everything was fine until Mrs. Harper appeared, her navy blazer crisp, her clipboard clutched like a weapon. She weaved through the tables, nodding at kids gluing paper crafts, then froze when she saw Emma. Her steps grew deliberate as she approached. I started walking over, but I wasn't fast enough. "Excuse me, young lady," she said loudly. "This event is for hands-on creativity, not screens." Emma, wearing headphones, didn't hear, her stylus gliding across a vibrant digital meadow. Mrs. Harper leaned closer. I said, "This isn't the place for computers." "She's not playing games," I called, hurrying over. "It's a school project." Mrs. Harper snapped. "She's ignoring me, disrespectful." "She has headphones on," I said, now steps away. "She didn't hear you." Mrs. Harper's voice rose. "She's not engaging with the community. It's unhealthy. This obsession with screens is a sickness." Before I could respond, she grabbed her metal water bottle, unscrewed the cap, and poured a stream of water onto Emma's laptop. The keyboard hissed, the screen glitched, then went black. Emma froze, her hands shaking, as water dripped onto the table. I yanked the laptop away, tilting it, but the damage was done. The crowd stared. Mrs. Harper stood tall. She shouldn't be online anyway. It's for her good. Noah ran over, eyes wide. "What happened?" Emma typed on her phone with trembling fingers. "It's gone." I turned to Mrs. Harper, my voice low. "You destroyed her schoolwork, her communication tool, her lifeline." She shrugged. "She needs boundaries." I did what any responsible adult would. I held Emma close, ignoring the whispers, and carried her and the ruined laptop home. She sat on her bed, typing. Why did she do that? I had no answer. That night, she didn't eat or draw. Her silence was a weight, her spirit doused like her laptop. I stayed up, calling her school, emailing her therapist, and leaving a voicemail for the HOA. Sleep never came. The next morning, I confronted Mrs. Harper at her pristine colonial-style home. She stood on her porch, unfazed. "I need to speak with you," I said. "You damaged property and traumatized my daughter. I want an apology and payment for a new laptop." Her eyebrows rose. "I acted for the community. You're letting her depend on that machine. She needs to live in the real world." "That machine is how she speaks," I said. You poured water on her voice. She shrugged. "It's not aggression, it's correction." I walked away, not out of defeat, but because I knew words wouldn't sway her. I wrote a formal complaint to the HOA, detailing the incident with photos and witness names. I gathered evidence. A school letter confirming Emma's laptop as an assistive device, a therapist's statement on its emotional importance, and stories from neighbors about Mrs. Harper's past behavior. One mom shared Ring camera footage of Mrs. Harper snatching a tablet from her son, muttering, "Screens ruin kids." Another neighbor recalled her pouring juice on a teen's phone at a pool party 2 years ago. The HOA had dismissed it, but now there was proof. The emergency HOA meeting was packed, the clubhouse buzzing with tension. Mrs. Harper sat up front, composed but stiff. I presented my case calmly, photos, letters, the video. Parents shared their stories. Mrs. Harper's control, her shaming, and her vendetta against anything digital. The room grew restless. The HOA president announced, "After reviewing the evidence, we voted to remove Mrs. Harper from the Family Wellness Committee and bar her from filing complaints without oversight." A few clapped. Mrs. Harper stood, defiant. "You're all blind to what technology's doing to your kids." But her words fell flat, lost her power. The next day, a box appeared on our doorstep, a new laptop, sleek and silver, with a sticky note. "For Emma." No sender, but I later learned neighbors, including Noah's mom,